The Dolphins win their seventh straight game. They take care of the Saints on Monday Night Football. This was expected, especially after the Saints had been struck by COVID so hard throughout the week. We knew that they were going to be playing their fourth string quarterback. They were missing a lot of key players. It was just a bad look. The Saints offense, who hasn't looked the same with Winston being hurt, being done for the season. Hill and Seaman hadn't been able to do it, and now they're both out. You're gonna have to rely on your fourth string quarterback. It was almost understood that the Dolphins were going to win, barring some type of meltdown, some type of miracle by the Saints. And that's exactly what happened. Everyone saw this coming. I saw the Dolphins defense getting picked up left and right everywhere in all my fantasy leagues. So it made sense. You see the Saints going through all these COVID troubles. Their offense already wasn't looking that good. It made sense. And it happened. The Dolphins had 8 sacks. They didn't let the Saints do anything. They could never get anything going, and the offense did just enough, or not just enough. The Saints couldn't get anything going. So honestly, the Dolphins offense didn't have to do anything. They still mustered 13 points. Waddle is a fucking beast. What a beast, man. Waddle, you are my hero. In my fantasy football league, just for a little bit for context, I was down like 16 points, and my opponent had Parker and I had Waddle, and I thought it was done. I'm a 2-time champion in that league. I was already conceding the match, and Waddle goes off. Parker drops a donut, and I'm going to the finals. So shout out Waddle. Whew, he saves my ass. Shout out Waddle. Just gotta point that out. Also, he's now second in the most receptions by a rookie, and he has a chance to break it. And everyone's gonna say, yeah, he has an extra game. But he might break it next week, week 17. He has a chance to break Anquan Bolden's record for the most receptions in a season. So Waddle, you've been amazing. There's been a lot of great rookies this last few years, even this year with Jamar Chase. So for Waddle to be standing out among all of those people, it just gives you a perspective of how good of a season he's having. And I think the Dolphins, once they figured out what the weapon and how many ways they could use Waddle, I think that's when they turned their season around. You saw the uptick in Waddle's usage. You saw that defense stepping it up, and you saw Tua come back from injury, and those wins just started coming. And yes, they've only beaten the Texans, the Ravens, the Jets, the Panthers, the Giants, the Jets again, the Saints with their fourth-string quarterback. I hear you. I know what you mean. I get it. They haven't really beaten anybody, and they're really going to find out what they're made of when they play the Titans and when they play the Patriots on week 17 and week 18. But we can't just gloss over, who they're playing. You still got to go out there and beat them. And case in point, the Chargers just lost to the Texans. And I know, the Chargers were missing players, but the Texans were missing 10 starters too. So, and we're going to talk about the Chargers in a bit. So, what it goes to show, the Chargers, who are about to win the AFC West or take the lead last week, lose to the Texans, who are at the bottom of the NFL hierarchy. They're one of the worst teams. That when you think of the worst teams in the NFL, you think the Lions, the Texans, the Jaguars, and then go from there. And the Chargers lost to those Texans. So the Dolphins seven straight wins. They still had to go out there. They still had to show up. They still had to line up against these people and beat them. So by no means can we just scoff at this 7 straight wins because of the opponents they had. The Ravens, that's a tough one. They have way more injuries and way more COVID stuff going on right now, and they almost beat the Packers. So the Ravens are tough. The Jets have upset some team. The Panthers, yeah, they've been on a downward spiral, but they've also had some victories. The Giants are trash. The Jets, yeah. The Saints, these are not the best teams. I get it, but you still got to go out there and beat them, and they have. And now they find themselves 8-7 in that 7th seed, and they control their own destiny at the Titans, and they host the Patriots. That's going to be crazy, especially with the Patriots losing momentum, losing some footing. The Patriots have been struggling. They lost to the Bills. They're going to be a wild card now. But if the Patriots somehow mess up against the Jaguars, that Dolphins game might mean something in terms of standings, or there might be a lot of stake on that week 17. I don't think so. I think the Patriots will take care of business, but will the Dolphins get in? They control their own destiny now. They have kind of, beaten up on the lesser teams in the NFL, but they could only beat what's in front of them. You know who also had a similar schedule? The Patriots and the Bills. And no one's really criticizing the Patriots and the Bills. They're in the same division. For the most part, they have the same schedule. So you can't knock the Dolphins for beating the same teams that the Patriots and the Bills have beaten and not give them credit. When the Bills and the Patriots beat them, Patriots went on a win streak similar to them, beating similar teams. And everybody was ready to say, the dynasty's back, Belichick is a genius. The Bills, at some point they had a really good record and they choked. And people were trying to call them the best team in the AFC. All I'm saying is, you got to take care of your opponents, and 7 straight wins is 7 straight wins. Do I think they're gonna run the table and win 9 straight and get into the playoffs? I mean, I don't want to go on a limb and say that they could do it. The Titans, they had an important win against the Niners, and they had that really gave them confidence. AJ Brown is back. The Patriots, they want to get one of the upper spots in the wild card. So we'll see how it plays out. Nevertheless, I think Brian Flores is doing a good job with the Dolphins. All those rumors about him getting fired this season after the great season he had last year, I think those could be put to bed. And Brian Flores is the guy for the future, as shown by this. And is Tua the guy for the future? I haven't really talked about Tua because he's been aight. He's been cool. He's been all right. Like, he shows you that he's like a mid-level starter. He's good. He has a little bit of potential still. He's in the second season. We'll see. He's still the hip. How's the hip coming along? I've seen him truck some people in the 7 straight wins. He's taking some hits. He's also throwing some ugly interceptions like he did against the Saints. But I think he gets it right now. Get the ball to Waddle. That's pretty much what he's been doing. Get the ball to Waddle, Gesicki, his other tight end, and you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be más o menos, because the Dolphins D is that good, and the offense just needs to not get in their own way. And he's been serviceable. He hasn't been outstanding. He hasn't been amazing. He hasn't lit it up by no means. But he's been cool. He's been all right. He's been serviceable. He's been. Would I even say he's playing better than Fitzpatrick played last year? I don't think so. Maybe around the same level. But if he wins 9 straight and they get into the playoff, then you gotta take into consideration. All right, can we win with Tua? We might be able to. Do we gotta trade some of our assets, or can we just try to keep building with Tua? That would be a real question. So at least he has that going for him. So good for Tua, and we'll see where the Dolphins end up. For my money, with the Ravens and the Chargers still behind them, will the Dolphins end up in the playoff spot? If you were gun to my head right now, I think I would say the Dolphins just miss out on the playoffs, unfortunately, because they do have a young team. Not too exciting, but a young team, and it would be nice to see young teams in the playoffs. But with the Ravens and the Chargers right beneath them, I think they don't make the playoffs.